The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene is one of, if not my favorite book of all time. But look, let's be real, the book is quite dense. It's not something you read once and put away. It's a resource that you come back to again and again. And what better way to explore its principles than through the greatest Mafia epic ever made, the Godfather trilogy. Perfect portrait of the game of power. So, here's the challenge. All 48 laws in 48 minutes. If I fail this, I'm listening to Fredo saying, "I'm smart," not like everybody says, on loop for 17 hours straight. Yeah, I'm not joking. All I ask is that you like the video and join the Culture Mafia by subscribing, and comment Inner Circle. Without further ado, let's begin. Oh wait, before we do, let me just grab a sip of Don Cortado's Power Brew, the only coffee I've tried that has authentic Italian espresso taste, but without all the jitters and crash. Smooth, bold, and it keeps you sharp when you're making moves. Heard someone say it's the only antidote to becoming a Fredo. You can check it out by scanning this QR code. Alright, here are the rules. Let's get started. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, the timer began as soon as you clicked on the video. Anyway, andiamo. Law 1. Never outshine the master. Miami, late 50s. Before Michael sees the knife behind the smile, he needs Hyman Roth. So Michael wears the pupil's coat, asks for guidance, lets Roth lecture, never flashes hunger. The flattery forces Roth to relax. Under the shelter of Roth's ego, he moves pieces he never names. Key ideas. Everyone has insecurities, but those above you are the most dangerous. By showing too much charm, wit, or brilliance, you highlight their weakness. Masters want glory, not competition. Key is to disguise your strengths, let them shine in your light, and appear dependent on their wisdom. Outshining them is fatal. Reversal: if your master is weak or falling, outshining them can speed their collapse. Just beware, appearing too perfect, too superior too soon often backfires. Patience is power. Power rating: 9 out of 10. A timeless law, easy to forget, costly to ignore. Law 2. Never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies. After Michael takes over and moves to Nevada, he names Fredo underboss for optics, while Pentangeli handles the real work. Fredo hears the title, but feels the slight resentment simmers. That move still puts an incompetent next to the throne with a title he can't carry, and a humiliation he can feel. Incompetence craves validation. Years after Moe Greene's hit, Hyman Roth waits, studies Michael. He soon spots an angle to attack Michael from. Fredo leaks details he doesn't fully grasp, and, well, you remember what that led to. A weak lieutenant is worse than an open enemy. He folds under pressure and is too easy to turn. Promote competence over kinship. Engineer the system to survive betrayal. Friendship runs on unstable emotion. An enemy has clear boundaries. Once reconciled, he's loyal from necessity, which beats affection. Learn to use your enemies. Reversal. Of course, not every friend betrays, but you must never rely on love alone. The safest relationships are built on genuine respect and mutual benefit. Enemies can become allies, and allies can turn into enemies. Only constant vigilance keeps you safe. Power rating: 8 out of 10. One of the harshest truths of power, but one that keeps you alive. If you focus on how to use your enemies, it can be extremely powerful. Law 3. Conceal your intentions. After Sollozzo pushes a truce and insists Michael attend, in a quiet Bronx restaurant, Michael lets a little truth leak. Anger, nerves, clipped answers. He doesn't overplay it. Sollozzo reads the tells as honesty and relaxes, thinking he's pierced the mask. It seems he has nothing to fear. They've complied with every request he's made. Surely things might actually work out. Then a bathroom break. The train thunders past, and Michael ends the meeting on his terms. The plan stayed invisible because the surface felt real. Most people are open books. Predictability makes you easy to read and easy to defeat. Concealing your intentions works because human nature trusts appearances. A well-placed decoy, whether fake desire, an ambiguous signal, or a misleading cause, draws people's eyes away from your real aim. Once distracted, they miscalculate while you quietly move toward your goal. There is little reversal here. Concealment is almost always necessary, but remember, overacting can backfire. Too much deception or theatrical trickery looks suspicious, like bad acting. Appear natural. Your goal is not flamboyant lying, but subtle misdirection. Just enough smoke to cover the fire until it's too late. Rating: 10 out of 10. This is one of the core power laws. From seduction to politics to business, success often depends less on brute force and more on misdirection. People can't destroy what they don't see. Concealment is your shield. Law 4. Always say less than necessary. 1945. Genco Pura headquarters. Sollozzo's talk is velvet. Vito gives away nothing. Sonny leans in, one eager line about the deal, and the whole room shifts. Sollozzo sees it, a hot-headed air, a split house, a path around the Don. Vito's glare says stop, but it's too late. Key ideas. Your words are like currency. The more you spend, the less value they carry. Silence unsettles people. They rush to fill it, often revealing more than they intend. When you say little, your words gain weight, sounding more profound than they are. Reversal. Silence isn't always safe. It can breed suspicion, especially with superiors, and sometimes words themselves work as camouflage. Rambling or playing the fool can lower defenses, making you appear harmless while you manipulate in plain sight. Power rating. 10 out of 10. A law of restraint. One careless word can undo years of effort. This is again one of the most important laws and goes hand in hand with Law 3. Law 5. So much depends on reputation. Guard it with your life. Vito never shouted power. He proved it. He kept promises, paid debts, and delivered justice when the courts wouldn't. He refused messy ventures, stayed calm in crises, and punished betrayal quietly but completely. Those patterns hardened into myth. His name walked into rooms first, opened doors, and made enemies think twice. Reputation did the heavy lifting. Shield in peacetime, blade when needed. Consistency bred stories. Stories bred an aura. Respect for his word and fear of its consequences kept the world in line before he had to lift a finger. Key ideas. People judge by appearances. Reputation lets you pre-shape those judgments and win before the contest begins. Build one standout quality and protect it ruthlessly. Power rating? 10 out of 10. Your name walks into the room before you do. Guard it like a treasure. For once stained, it's almost impossible to restore. Law 6. Court attention at all cost. In Part 2, Michael turns his son's Tahoe communion into a showcase. Senators, judges, bankers, drifting through a family celebration while business is whispered in the wings. In Part 3, he writes public checks, builds the Vito Corleone Foundation, and accepts a papal honor, flanked by cardinals and CEOs. The past stays in shadow. The spotlight frames a clean silhouette. Visibility is power. To disappear is to be forgotten. To be forgotten is to be powerless. Attention multiplies influence, whether positive or negative. Better to provoke controversy than to be ignored. Attention, once secured, can be shaped into reputation, leverage, and dominance. Reversal. Excessive courting of attention can cheapen you, making you look desperate, clownish, or unserious. Use attention as a weapon, not an addiction. Power rating. 7 out of 10. Without attention, power dies, but with too much, you risk burning out in the glare. Law 7. Get others to do the work for you, but always take the credit. Baptism Day. At the font, Michael vows renunciation, while Neri, Rocco, and Clemence's crews move through New York. Doors crack, muffled guns reply, and by Vespers, the city's rivals are saints only in obituaries. No one remembers the shooters, only the name that now rules. He never lifts a finger. The consigliere turns gossip into dossiers and deniability. Capos translate strategy into motion. Soldiers absorb the heat so the throne stays cool. The work lives in shadow. The credit, immaculate, gathers around the dawn. Key ideas. Power comes from conserving energy. Let others supply the muscle and brains while you claim the stage. What matters isn't who does the work, it's who gets the credit. Reversal. Overuse breeds resentment. If people feel exploited without reward, they may sabotage you. Reward subtly, but never yield the spotlight. Power rating. 8 out of 10. Dangerous if done too blatantly. The key I want you to remember is learning how to defend yourself against this law when it's used by the ghouls that flood our society today. Law 8. Make other people come to you. Use bait if necessary. After Moe Greene's death, Roth begins the bait. First, he helps Michael lock down the Tropicana and tighten his grip on Vegas. Then he unveils Havana, a government-blessed casino empire, money polished enough to launch Michael towards his pinnacle, political power, the presidency. Step by step, Michael travels to him. Roth keeps pace, and price. By making others come to you, you control time, place, and terms. Patience is power. Don't wait if waiting means missed opportunities. Power rating. 9 out of 10. Learn the art of forcing others to play the moves you want them. Law 9. Win through your actions, never through argument. Hollywood, 1945. Tom Hagen makes the polite case to studio boss Jack Waltz. Give Johnny Fontaine the part, and the Don would greatly appreciate it. Waltz rants, insults, and kicks Hagen out. Hagen doesn't argue, he doesn't insult Waltz, he politely gives the answer to his Don. That next morning, Waltz wakes to his prize stallion's head bleeding into silk sheets. No speeches follow. The next call from the studio with a yes. Argument lost, outcome won. Words breed resistance. Deeds inspire awe. Arguing wins points, but actions win loyalty and lasting belief. You bet Waltz never refused a request from Don Vito that day onwards. Why? Because of the old classic maxim, actions speak louder than words. And to be quite blunt, action tends to hurt a lot more than words. People remember what they feel a lot longer than what they hear. Persuasive words can buy time or calm tempers, but without action behind them, they collapse. Power rating. 10 out of 10, one of the purest and most practical laws. Actions cut through pride where words never can. Law 10. Infection. Avoid the unhappy and unlucky. In life, we are unfortunately bound to encounter some Fredos in our life. If possible, avoid them like the plague. A Fredo is a self-absorbed egotist who lives for the spotlight and mistakes attention for respect. He's incompetent, yet entitled, promises the moon, delivers a pebble, and then has the audacity to blame the tide. A little flattery, and the vault swings open. Under it all sits grievance, a running ledger of slights that makes him ripe for anyone willing to whisper, "You deserve more." Keep this type far from money, intel, and recurring access. Misery is magnetic. Attach yourself to it, and you inherit its downfall. Seek out those with momentum, fortune, and confidence. Their energy compounds into yours. Power rating. 10 out of 10. Essential for long-term survival. You feed off the energy of those around you. Make sure it's not poison. Law 11. Learn to keep people dependent on you. Vito didn't argue for loyalty. He engineered need. He became the one man who could deliver what institutions wouldn't. Protection when the police looked away. Justice when courts failed. He wrapped those miracles in ritual, the wedding petitions, a calm mystique, and a soft IOU. One day I may call upon you. People left his office solved, but not self-sufficient. The recipe stayed with the Don. Become the bridge they must cross. Money, access, protection, or expertise. Concentrate choke points. Withhold just enough know-how, and fold favors into routine. Need is a leash. Reliability is the collar. Reversal. Push dependency too far, and you breed paranoia or revolt. Don't trap one whale. Net a school. Diversify who relies on you, and let them feel free while they're not. Power rating? 9 out of 10. Freedom scales with how many people can't function without you. You protect yourself from ever being disposable. Law 12. Use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim. After the Tahoe hit, Michael splits the room. To Pentangeli, he shows concern, hints the trouble may trace to Roth and the Rosados, and asks him to hold fire as a favor. Pentangeli likes what he hears. He finally thinks Michael understands him. He cools down. In Miami, he tells Roth the trouble stems from Pentangeli's side, ensuring him that everything they've planned is still secure and keeps the old man close. Roth is delighted that Michael has no suspicion towards him. He continues his play. Each man hears what he wants. Each relaxes. The honesty buys Michael time to investigate. Follow the leak and set the real play. The gift is time. Time for Michael to trace the leak to Fredo and set the real play. A single sincere act or gift melts suspicion and opens access. Once inside, you guide the outcome. Use small truths, public generosity, and ritual warmth as keys. Then act while the guard is down. This works especially well when the target is already inclined and wants to believe what you want to give or tell them. Reversal. If you're known as deceitful, sudden honesty rings false. Better to play the rogue than to wave gifts no one believes. 8 out of 10. Disarming done right turns caution into cooperation. Done sloppily, it backfires. Law 13. When asking for help, appeal to people's self-interest, never to their mercy or gratitude. Vito didn't sell fear. He sold better outcomes, but he kept a little fear in reserve. He led with mutual gain, offering profit, safety, or access others couldn't get alone. While he was very capable of using force, he allowed others to preserve their dignity, letting them say yes without losing face. Payment came as loyalty and future cooperation, not humiliation. So the favor became a bond rather than a bruise. Don't sell your need, sell their gain. Translate your request into relief of their pain or advancement of their goals. Reversal. With true idealists, wrap self-interest in virtue, legacy, honor, public good, but pretty words without a concrete win rarely move power. Power rating. 9 out of 10. Align incentives and doors open. Arguments and pleas rarely do. Law 14. Pose as a friend, work as a spy. Just watch The Godfather Part 2. The whole film shows different players playing the same game, all with different angles. Key ideas. Friendship is the best cover. Flattery opens vaults. Intelligence beats force. Reversal. If the mask slips, trust implodes and you trigger an open war. When risks are high, use cutouts and distance. Sometimes plain surveillance is safer than a personal pose. Power rating, 7 out of 10. Knowledge is power, but some knowledge must be obtained discreetly with their guard down. A very Machiavellian law, yet it does serve a purpose. Law 15. Crush your enemy totally. Baptism Day. While Michael renounces Satan at the font, Neri, Rocco, and Clemence's crews move. Barzini on the courthouse steps, Tatalia in his suite, Cuneo and Strachey cut down, Moe Greene erased. On the same day, the traitor Tessio was taken out. Carlo gets what he deserves. Michael waited for the perfect moment, then unleashed a single synchronized purge. No survivors, no path back. By nightfall, the rival families are leaderless. The leaks are plugged, and no ember remains to reignite. Crushing can sow lifelong revenge or needless risk. Sometimes it's wiser to let foes exhaust themselves or leave an exit than finish only if they can rise again. Power rating, 10 out of 10. You need to address the root of a problem and look to ruthlessly address it. Don't just trim it and wait for it to regrow again. Look to the core of the issue, and you will save yourself so much heartache. Law 16. Use absence to increase respect and honor. After he becomes Don, Michael isn't available. He builds buffers. Tom fields petitions, Rocco and Neri filter noise, so only the critical reaches his desk. The distance distills down into aura. Most men hear of him more than they see him. Because he is rarely present, his presence feels like a verdict, and that rarity deepens both respect and fear. Establish a strong positive presence, then withdraw. Scarcity breeds respect and longing. When you do appear, it feels exceptional, resets the hierarchy, and it deepens both respect and fear. Withdraw too far, and you lose intel, or breed rumor and resentment. Keep ears close through trusted emissaries, and surface just enough to remind people why you're scarce. Power rating, 8 out of 10. Used at the right moment, absence multiplies authority. Overdone, it erases you. Law 17. Keep others suspended in terror. Cultivate an air of unpredictability. Vito's power entered a room before he did. People learned that promises he made were kept and slights he noticed were answered, quietly, inevitably, and on his timetable. Because consequences were certain and the timing was not, men stayed cautious. The unpredictability did the policing for him. People crave patterns. Your predictability hands them control. Break the pattern with calculated surprises. Vary timing, tone, and presence, so opponents stay off balance and reactive. A few well-placed, seemingly purposeless moves makes others waste energy trying to read you while you choose the moment. Overdo unpredictability and you look erratic or untrustworthy. Keep a reliable baseline for ordinary dealings and reserve shock for leverage. Use unpredictability as a weapon, not a personality. Power rating, 9 out of 10. Used sparingly, unpredictability freezes the board until you decide the move. A very delicate law that should be reserved for experienced power players. Law 18. Do not build fortresses to protect yourself. Isolation is dangerous. Vito keeps the mystique without the walls. Tom filters petitions, meetings are set in quiet back rooms, but he still moves among the people. On the wedding day, he hears the neighborhood. During the week, he sees merchants and landlords who need a door opened. Because he circulates, information flows in. Because he's scarce, respect stays high. No fortress, just a living web that shields him. Isolation blinds and invites attack. Circulation feeds you allies and information. Move among people, let emissaries screen, and use ritual access to stay informed without becoming common. The crowd is your shield, the network is your wall. Reversal. Short retreats to regroup are fine, but don't sever the ties that bring you news and cover. Fortify briefly, then re-enter the flow before the walls turn into traps. Power rating, 8 out of 10. Like that cliche saying, your network is your net worth, we all need people to help us in so many different ways. Isolation makes you vulnerable and paranoid. Join the culture mafia, and you'll gain access to a truly exceptional network. More on that later. Law 19. Know who you're dealing with. Do not offend the wrong person. 1954, Vegas. Moe Greene shows up late, tries to own the room, uses Fredo as a prop, slaps him around to say, I don't fear your name. Michael stays ice calm, makes a lowball offer that feels like an insult, then goes quiet. Moe explodes, blurts the tells. He's been talking to Barzini. Worse, Fredo appeals to Tom in front of an outsider, publicly undercutting the Don. Michael came for leverage, not debate. He got it. Moe misread the man, offended the wrong person, and the bill came due. Power is part strategy, part anthropology. Try reading people, don't guess. Before you move, measure pride, insecurity, and appetite. Gather concrete knowledge. Never trust appearances and choose targets you can safely pressure. Insult no one needlessly. Some injuries are remembered forever. Reversal. What possible good comes from ignorance here? Obey this law to its fullest extent. It has no reversal. Power rating, 9 out of 10. Most defeats begin with not understanding who it is you are fighting. Picking fights for the sake of it will end up costing you dearly. Law 20. Do not commit to anyone. After the Tahoe hit, Michael doesn't pick a side. He visits Pentangeli and lets him believe Roth ordered it. Then he flies to Miami and lets Roth believe Pentangeli is the problem. Each man leans in. Each tries to win Michael over. While they scramble, he buys time, studies the board, and chooses the moment, not the allegiance. By the time either camp realizes he was never with them, Michael is already dictating terms from the center. Independence makes others court you. Distance creates leverage. Stay aloof so suitors compete and remain above the fray while others exhaust themselves. Then step in as the indispensable decider. Reversal. Play this too far and rivals may unite against you or lose interest. Sometimes you'll commit for appearances, but keep inner freedom and the option to exit the moment the alliance weakens. Power rating, 9 out of 10. Invaluable in factional games, if you can resist the urge to belong and join in the groupthink. Let them play their little games. Your job is to win. Law 21. Play a sucker to catch a sucker. Seem dumber than your mark. Vito comes with hat in hand, humble, apologetic. He underpays, flatters, lets Fanucci believe he's cowed by a superior mind. Fanucci preens, lowers his price, strolls into the night feeling clever. Minutes later, under festival fireworks, Vito ends him cleanly. Playing meek opened the door. The kill was already decided. Stroke their ego. Dim your own light. When they feel wiser, they relax, talk, and overreach. The harmless mask buys you time and information. Then you move while they're still congratulating themselves. With hyper-suspicious or status-obsessed marks, feigned stupidity can read as an insult. In those cases, show deference, not incompetence, and let small believable mistakes do the work. Power rating, 9 out of 10. Being underestimated can be extremely powerful. In fact, as the law states, seeming dumber than your mark will cause them to lower their guard, creating the perfect opening for you to strike. Law 22. Use the surrender tactic. Transform weakness into power. New York. After Sonny's death, Don Vito gathers the commission and, against every instinct for revenge, offers peace. He accepts losses, speaks softly, and lets the other Dons believe the Corleones are finished. The war stops. Michael comes home. In that calm, Vito studies the room, confirms Barzini as the real enemy, and buys the one thing he needs most: time. The surrender is a velvet sheath over a knife. Years later, Michael strikes when no one can strike back. Bend outwardly. Stay firm within. Surrender buys time and space, denies your foe the satisfaction of open battle, and lulls him into complacency while you prepare the counterblow. The real power move is yielding now to control, the when and how later. Live to fight on your terms. Leave martyrdom alone. Power rating, 8 out of 10. When used well, surrender is a strategy, not defeat. Law 23. Concentrate your forces. After the New York War, Michael stops sprinkling power everywhere and drills one well, Nevada. He sells off messy rackets, piles money and muscle into 3 casinos, and courts a single fat cow in Senator Geary, the gatekeeper of licenses and legitimacy. Vegas becomes the family's new fortress because Michael concentrates cash, talent, and political cover in one place, with one patron to milk for years. Intensity over extensity. He mines one vein until it runs rich. Focus beats spread. Pick one domain, one revenue engine, one gatekeeper, and pour everything into it. Intensity defeats extensity. Reversal. Concentration has hazards. When you're the weaker side or the times are chaotic, disperse like a gorilla and entwine with several patrons. If one falls, you don't. Also, beware of monomania. Too narrow a focus can make you brittle. Power rating, 9 out of 10. Focus allows you to get what you want at a much more efficient rate. Law 24. Play the perfect courtier. Tom Hagen moves as the perfect courtier. Flattery up, intent veiled, exits prepared. At Waltz's estate, he brings a gift, praises the studio, offers the Dons friendship and a graceful release. Waltz rants. Tom never threatens. He leaves, and by dawn the answer arrives as if Waltz chose it. Later, Geary wakes to ruin. Tom rescues him. No fee. Obedience feels like self-preservation. Let others feel superior while your courtesy opens doors and your timing closes the deal. Lay it on too thick and you look servile or manipulative. In blunt crisis settings, plain force or frankness can outperform court polish. Use the courtier's mask as a tactic, not an identity. Power rating: 8 out of 10. In any hierarchy, manners are leverage. Grace moves what muscle can't. Being liked by those above you is extremely powerful, but remember, have some dignity and understand this is not the same as being a yes man. Be very careful. All right, we're at the halfway mark. 24 laws down, 24 to go. Do you know what's interesting? Don Vito understood something that most people miss about power. It's not about domination. It's about positioning. It's about making people need you more than you need them. Speaking of positioning, let me tell you about the fuel that keeps me running, Power Brew by Don Cortado. While other brands are loading their product with sugar, artificial additives, and chemicals just to mask the crash that comes after, Don Cortado took a different approach. They mastered the balance, that authentic Italian espresso depth, smooth enough that you don't need sugar, strong enough that you don't need a second cup. How? Well, they managed to add in 2 powerful adaptogens that research shows support mental clarity, focus, and continuous energy, all without the crash we usually suffer from. It's the coffee equivalent of Law 28, enter action with boldness, but with the wisdom to know you don't need to prove anything. Check the link below. Use code 48LAWS for $10 off your first order. Now back to business. We got a lot of ground to cover. Law 25, recreate yourself. Sicily burns the old Michael away. New York gets a new one. The war hero returns, speaking with intent, dressing darker, moving slower, no longer a kid in uniform, but a man you cannot read. He lets his reputation walk a few steps ahead. He doesn't wait to be labeled. He authors the role, and everyone else adjusts. He didn't choose to change, but if he must, he'll do it his way. Be the master of your image. Choose a role that commands attention, and add a touch of theater to make it memorable. Work on yourself like clay so others can cast you in their script. Reversal? No real reversal, only avoid bad theater. Overacting cheapens you. Even natural requires craft. Power rating? 9 out of 10. You need to constantly evolve. Don't let the confines people put you in entrap you. Law 26. Keep your hands clean. Michael only gets his hands dirty once, the restaurant hit. After that, he stays immaculate. At the baptism, his men do the purging while he prays. In Vegas, Neri handles Greene. In Miami, Rocco drops Roth at the airport and dies on the spot. Tom tidies Geary, no fee. The Don's will is everywhere. The Don's fingerprints are nowhere. Key ideas. Power is appearance. Separate decision from deed. Use buffers, fronts, and cat's paws so outcomes arrive without attaching to you. Let others carry risk, blame, and blood. You keep the halo and the leverage. Reversal. If you look too spotless, skeptics may test you. Leak just enough to steal reputation, not residue, so people fear the consequence without ever seeing the stain. Power rating? 8 out of 10. Look out for people who misuse this law. It's unfortunately become all too common. Law 27. Play on people's need to believe to create a cult-like following. Wedding day, a line forms outside Vito's office. He listens, blesses, delivers miracles the courts won't. They kiss the hand, whisper, "The Godfather will make it right," and leave as devotees. Give them a creed, rituals, symbols, and repeatable results, small favors that feel miraculous. Name an enemy, demand loyalty, and let the legend travel faster than you do. Reversal. Promise only what you can reliably stage. Overreach breaks the spell. Keep devotion soft and directed. If zeal hardens or outgrows you, rein it in, or it will turn on you. Power rating? 6 out of 10. Law 28. Enter action with boldness. The moment Michael takes the throne, he moves fast. He reorganizes his forces. He takes out his enemies with one swift move. Old rackets are sold, 3 casinos targeted, Senator Geary courted. It's delicate, everyone's watching, but the speed forces compliance. Hesitation would invite revolt. Boldness makes dissent late. Audacity seizes initiative and freezes opposition. Big changes land best when delivered decisively with clear targets and timelines. If boldness misfires, follow with more boldness to own the narrative. Reversal. Bravado without groundwork is suicide. Prep the pieces, buffers, financing, exits, then strike hard. Boldness is a strategy, not a mood. Power rating, 9 out of 10. Law 29. Plan all the way to the end. After Sonny's death, Vito writes the ending first, bringing Michael home alive and make him Don. He convenes the commission, takes the loss, and makes peace, not to yield, but to buy time. In that quiet, he studies, he confirms Barzini as the true enemy, and he plants the tripwire. He tutors Michael, moves pieces, and waits. Years later at a baptism, the threads he spun tighten at once. Michael returns not as the prodigal, but as the hand that closes the book. Start with the ending, then work backward. Map obstacles, rivals' counter moves, and twists of fortune. Don't daydream a happy finish. Plan it. Reversal. Over-planning can harden into rigidity or fantasy. Keep scenario branches and room to pivot. Avoid being seduced by the perfect ending in your head. Power rating, 10 out of 10. Endgame thinking prevents surprises and tells you exactly when to stop. You need a destination in mind, even when the journey is unknown. Without a decision, you will drift around forever. Law 30. Make your accomplishments seem effortless. Vito was the man who made the impossible look routine, and he did it with a disarming casualness. That's the heart of Law 30. Bury the grind and only reveal the glide, so your power feels natural and inexhaustible. Do the hard work offstage. Use proxies for heavy lifts, pre-decide the ending, keep the blueprint opaque. Reversal. If you look too effortless, people call it luck. Reveal rare hints of discipline, never the playbook, to anchor respect. Power rating, 8 out of 10. Effortless on stage, relentless offstage. That's how stature compounds. Law 31. Control the options. Get others to play with the cards you deal. Vito doesn't argue. He designs the menu. Take the money and release Johnny now, keep your dignity, or refuse and release him after Luca pays a visit. Cast Fontaine with a smile, or cast him with a scream. Different doors, same corridor. That's Law 31. Control the options so choice is an illusion and the outcome is already written. Stage free choices with one endpoint. Pre-write outcomes, then offer A, B doors, both yours. Frame terms, set deadlines, dress compulsion as mercy. Let them feel control while you hold the map. Don't overscript, leave a decoy exit, and keep force off stage. Power rating? 9 out of 10. When you author the menu, you own the meal. Think about how you can constantly create win-win scenarios. Law 32. Play to people's fantasies. Hyman Roth sells Michael a dream, Havana, the glittering gateway to legitimacy. He flatters Michael's vision of a clean empire and with a conjurer's flourish, opens doors of palaces and access to the highest levels of power. For a moment, Michael leans into the mirage, just long enough for Roth to choose the time and terrain. Roth doesn't argue reality. He paints a paradise and lets Michael walk toward it. Key ideas. People flee harsh facts. They move for hope. Offer the moon, sudden transformation, not slow grind. Package profit in romance, legitimacy in spectacle. Find the gap between what is and what they yearn for. Then fill it with a believable dream. Reversal. If your fantasy collapses on contact with facts, you're branded a deceiver. The spell breaks and anger follows. Keep promises deliverable. Lace the dream with just enough plausibility. Power rating? 6 out of 10. Facts persuade the mind. Fantasies will mobilize the will. People want to believe. Give them what they want. Law 33. Discover each man's thumbscrew. Lake Tahoe, 1958. Senator Geary tries to shake Michael down. Hours later, an accident leaves Geary ruined, unless Michael cleans it up. Michael does, quietly. From then on, the senator's name, future, and freedom depend on the man who found his weakness and wrapped it in gratitude. Probe for the soft spot. Vanity, fear, need, secret appetite. People wear armor, but everyone has a seam. Find it, press gently, and guide them. Often, the opposite of their image hides the lever. Reversal. Playing on vulnerabilities can unleash emotions you can't control. Push too hard, and you create backlash or chaos. Know the limits. You want power, not a fire you can't put out. Power rating? 9 out of 10. The most dangerous law of power. If you can find what their weakness is, and you press on it, you own them forever. Law 34. Be royal in your own fashion. Act like a king to be treated like one. Vito wasn't born to a throne. He built one in how he moved. He paved his own way and made people feel seen. He didn't plead or posture. He set the room's tempo with calm and courtesy. He kept his distance without coldness. That's why the neighborhood treated him like a king long before the crown. Royal in bearing, not in birth. Key ideas. Carry yourself above the fray. Dignity, restraint, and high standards. Set your price and make others come up to it. Use scarcity and composure to signal rank. Reversal. Empty grandeur invites ridicule. If your bearing isn't backed by real power or results, you look pompous. Ground the regal posture in competence, and know when blending in keeps you safer. Power rating, 8 out of 10. Posture precedes treatment. Wear the crown before they see it. Make it into reality. Law 35. Master the art of timing. Little Italy, 1917. Vito shadows Fanucci through crowds and music, waits for the band to swell and the street to roar. Lights low, fireworks peaking, he moves. One quiet shot under the noise, then he vanishes into the parade. No rush, no bravado, just perfect timing, turning a bully into a memory. Embrace patience. Haste signals weakness. Read the moment like a detective. Wait when the fruit isn't ripe, and strike only when conditions, noise, cover, mood, allies, stack in your favor. Then hit hard and end clean. Wait too long and the window shuts. If ripeness won't come, create it. Force tempo indirectly, then act as soon as the border lines. Power rating, 10 out of 10. Timing turns small moves into decisive victories. In the game of power, it's everything. Law 36. Disdain things you cannot have. Ignoring them is the best revenge. Vito hears Sollozzo out once, then lets his principals answer. He refuses without bargaining. No second meeting, no heat. By treating the offer as beneath him, he starves it of legitimacy. Not everything that pays is worth having. That's Vito's disdain made power. What you notice grows. Starve petty enemies and public slights. Deny the oxygen of reaction. Downplay losses, let small errors die on their own, and act as if the thing you can't have isn't worth wanting. Cold indifference is status. Power rating, 8 out of 10. Most fires die when you stop fanning them. Be very conscious about this. Law 37. Create compelling spectacles. Control the stage. Lead with symbols. Make fear and admiration palpable. Orchestrate witnesses, setting and timing. Let spectacle do the work while you stay untouchable. Reversal. Overuse numbs the crowd. Save pageantry for decisive moments or to mask pivotal moves. Otherwise, you look desperate, or worse, transparent. When stealth serves you better, keep the curtain closed. Power rating, 8 out of 10. The right scene bends perception, and perception is power. Law 38. Think as you like, but behave like others. Communion Day at Tahoe. On the lawn, Michael is the friendly businessman. To his family, the patriarch. To his men, the Godfather, the ruthless Don. Legitimacy in public, power in private. Blend outwardly, plot inwardly. Think with the few, speak with the many. Hide edge and heresy behind the ordinary. Reserve candor for the tolerant inner circle. The crowd punishes what makes them feel small. Familiarity is your shield. Only unveil your difference in circles primed to receive it. Tolerant friends, controlled rooms, or when your power is beyond retaliation. Otherwise, conform and keep thinking freely. Power rating, 8 out of 10. Quiet conformity buys you the room to move. Getting into pointless arguments is never advantageous. Law 39. Stir up waters to catch fish. Vegas, 1954. Michael makes a flat, disrespectful offer to Moe Greene, then goes quiet. The room heats. Moe erupts, bragging, insulting, and crucially blurting that he's been talking to Barzini. Michael never raises his voice, never argues. He came to bait the water, catch the tell, and leave with leverage. Moe thought he won the moment. Michael won the information. Pick pride, not fury. Use slight understatements, awkward silences, and unfair terms to draw out ego. Let them talk. Emotion loosens secrets. You stay still, collect tells, and strike only after they expose the plan. Reversal. Keep cover, keep calm, and stop the stirring once you have baited confession. Power rating, 8 out of 10. Law 40. Despise the free lunch. Sollozzo dangled easy millions and a guarantee from Tatalia if Vito will bless the narcotics deal. Vito listens, smiles, and refuses. The price isn't money, it's obligation. Lost judges, burnt political capital, strings he won't wear. He would rather forego free profit than mortgage his independence. Sollozzo leaves with a no. Vito keeps the one currency that matters, freedom to maneuver. And when the bill for that free lunch comes due, it's blood. Everything has a cost. Free or bargain offers carry hidden psychological debts and shaky quality. Pay full price to stay unentangled. Spend strategically to create obligation in others. Generosity used deliberately becomes a weapon. Miserliness isolates. Never trust free when you're the mark, but as the mover, you can bait others with it. The con runs on greed. Dangle easy gains and let obligations and errors multiply. Power rating 8 out of 10. 41. Avoid stepping into a great man's shoes. After Vito, Michael refuses to be Vito II. He sells old rackets, pivots to Nevada, trades judges for senators, and builds a clean-looking casino empire. It's the challenge Sonny never solved. He tried to wear Vito's shoes as a war general, stayed in the old script, and died in its crossfire. Michael wins by changing the stage, not the actor. Don't live in a predecessor's script. Change course early, pick a new arena, and make a signature break that marks your era. Build a fresh identity and origin myth. Let comparisons die on the ground you choose, not theirs. Power rating 8.5 out of 10. Escape the shadow fast, or spend your reign explaining it. Law 42. Strike the shepherd, and the sheep will scatter. Barzini couldn't crack the Corleones head-on, so he struck the shepherd, Vito, in the street. Years later, Michael studies, waits, and returns the lesson. Find the center of gravity, the stirrer everyone mirrors. Cut the head, not the crowd. Collapse networks with a single precise removal. Neutralize channels first, then strike to end 1,000 skirmishes. If the target can become a martyr or leaves a vacuum rivals will fill, co-opt, exile, or quietly discredit before you cut. Break influence, then the man. Power rating 9 out of 10. Decapitation beats attrition. Law 43. Work on the hearts and minds of others. Little Italy, wedding day. Vito doesn't bark orders, he listens. A father wants justice. A shopkeeper needs relief. A young man needs work. Vito delivers small miracles. By nightfall, the neighborhood isn't just obedient, it's devoted. Seduce, don't shove. Appeal to pride, security, belonging. Give dignified favors, public warmth, private assurance. Tie loyalty to emotion, gratitude, safety, shared story, and force becomes your last resort, not your only tool. Power rating 8 out of 10. Influence that lives in people's feelings outlasts attention and costs less to maintain. Law 44. Disarm and infuriate with the mirror effect. The meeting with Moe Greene was a master class from Michael. He used Moe's tactics right back at him. Match their style to blur your edges. Echo their words to draw them out. Hold a moral mirror to make them police themselves. Use a negative mirror, calm to their fury, to make them overreact. Mirroring hides intent and forces mistakes. With unstable or paranoid targets, mirroring can look like mockery and trigger chaos. Use sparingly. Switch techniques once you've got the opening. Power rating 8 out of 10. When they face themselves, you don't need to push. Law 45. Preach the need for change, but never reform too much at once. Fanucci falls, but Vito doesn't announce a revolution. The collections continue, only lighter, fair, on time. He opens Genco Pura as a respectable front, keeps the rituals, the handshakes, the feast days. To the neighborhood it feels like the old world restored, just kinder. The power changed hands, the life stayed familiar. That's why no one revolts. Change arrives as comfort. Signal respect for tradition, while you redirect the future. Reversal. When you must overhaul fast, frame it as restoration, back to the true ways, and borrow the past's legitimacy to calm nerves. Power rating 6 out of 10. Lasting change sticks when it feels like continuity. Law 46. Never appear too perfect. Tahoe, late 50s. Michael runs the family like a sealed vault. No tells, no warmth, no visible weakness. Fredo simmers. Pentangeli feels sidelined. The perfect Don breeds quiet enemies. Bleed off envy. Display a harmless vice. Give others the spotlight. Credit luck and helpers. Ask advice you don't need. Be human in public, superior in private. Brief moments of perfection can awe in crises. Just don't live there. Return to relatable quickly, or you become a target. Power rating 7 out of 10. Shine enough to lead. Scuff the edges so people don't sharpen knives. Law 47. Do not go past the mark you aimed for. In victory, learn when to stop. At the baptism, Michael doesn't torch the city, he trims the crown. Barzini, Tattaglia, Cuneo, Stracci, and Moe Greene. Gone. Victory is the dangerous hour. Cap your gains, cool your glow, count the spoils. Set a stop rule before you start. Consolidate, let envy pass, then move, if ever, on your terms. Power rating. 8 out of 10. Endgames are written by those who know when to end. Law 48. Assume formlessness. A dawn rises by changing his silhouette. As the circle widens, he adjusts. New fronts, new roots, new faces, so rivals never get a clean silhouette. Yesterday, the gracious patron. Today, the respectable executive. Tomorrow, a name that strikes fear in his enemies. He takes solid form only to strike, then returns to water. Ego wants a statue. Survival wants flow. Give enemies mist to punch. Win with timing, not posture. A Godfather thinks in seasons, not moments. Reversal. Total shapelessness can spook allies. Give your side a stable frame, rituals, roles, while you stay fluid inside it. And when it's time to strike, take form briefly, hit, then dissolve again. Power rating. 10 out of 10. The hardest target to hit is the one that won't hold still. 48 laws in under 48 minutes. How'd we do? That was fun. It was challenging, but it was fun. And to be honest, I'm just glad I didn't need to spend all that time with Fredo. Come back to this whenever you need wisdom or guidance in any life situation. Look, here's what I want you to understand about this book, about these principles, about why I keep coming back to it. Power isn't good or evil. It's a force. And like any force, it exists whether you acknowledge it or not. Question is, are you going to understand how it works? Or are you going to be a victim of those who do? Michael Corleone understood these laws. He mastered them. But understanding power and understanding wisdom are different things. He gained everything, absolute control, wealth, security, and lost what actually mattered. His wife, his brother, his daughter, his soul. That's the real lesson here. These laws work. If you want to go deeper into this, I've created an exclusive ebook that transforms the art of war into your modern-day strategic Bible. Same concept, taking Sun Tzu's ancient battle strategies and showing you how to apply them to modern life. Business negotiations, competitive strategy, knowing when to fight and when to walk away. It's the perfect companion to this. Just scan the QR code for more info. This channel exists because I believe knowledge should be accessible. The game is being played whether you know the rules or not. I'd rather you know them. These aren't manipulation tactics. They're survival skills. They're pattern recognition. They're understanding human nature at its most raw. Subscribe if you want more of this. Let me know in the comments what you want to see. Until then, stay sharp, stay dangerous, and remember, it's not personal, it's strictly business. And if you're hungry for more Godfather breakdowns, I did a deep dive on Senator Pat Geary from Part 2. It's one of the darkest laws of power in action, and it's one of my favorite breakdowns.